Some things are too heavy to bring back. Not because we lack the technology, but because we are afraid of what they still represent. The Titanic is still down there, 2.5 miles beneath the ocean, silent, dark, untouched by sunlight for more than a century. And somehow, that feels right. Because the question was never, can we raise the Titanic? The real question is, why do we keep wanting to? In 1912, the Titanic was called unsinkable, a floating symbol of human progress, human confidence, human control. It carried millionaires, immigrants, dreamers, workers, families, all moving toward a future they believed was guaranteed. Then one iceberg changed everything, and in less than 3 hours, certainty disappeared into the Atlantic. More than 500 people died. Not in war, not in chaos, but in disbelief. That might be the most haunting part. Most people on board still trusted the ship while it was sinking, because humans struggle to accept collapse when something once looked powerful. And maybe that is why people are still obsessed with the Titanic today. Not because of the ship itself, but because it mirrors us. We build bigger cities, faster systems, smarter machines. We tell ourselves we are advancing. We tell ourselves we are safe. Yet deep down, most people still feel fragile. One accident, one message, one diagnosis, one loss, and everything changes. The Titanic reminds us how quickly confidence can drown. For decades, people dreamed about raising it. Newspapers talked about it. Engineers imagined it. We sent submarines down to visit it, filmed it, mapped it, studied it, again and again, as if humanity could not stop staring at its own wound. But every time the idea came up, the same problem returned. The ship is falling apart, slowly, constantly. The ocean is eating it alive. Iron-eating bacteria cover the wreck. The metal is weakening. Entire sections have collapsed. The grand staircase is gone. Rooms that once held music and laughter are now filled with darkness and pressure. The Titanic is disappearing, piece by piece, year by year. And maybe that is what makes it feel so human, because people disappear the same way. Not all at once. Slowly, quietly. Memory fades. Voices disappear. Photos become strangers. Even grief changes shape over time. But there is another reason nobody has raised the Titanic, one that feels harder to admit. It is a graveyard. More than 1,000 people never came home. The ocean became their final resting place. And somewhere along the way, the wreck stopped being just a machine. It became sacred. Like a frozen moment of human tragedy. Disturbing it feels wrong. Almost like opening a coffin just because you are curious. That says something uncomfortable about human nature. We claim we want truth. But sometimes, we only want proximity to tragedy, not responsibility for it. People watch documentaries late at night, scroll through animations of the sinking, listen to the final moments. Imagine the cold water. Imagine the panic. Imagine the silence afterward. Because fear has a strange pull. Humans are drawn to reminders of death, not because we enjoy them, but because they make us feel alive for a moment. And the Titanic does something even deeper. It destroys the illusion of status. On board that ship were some of the richest people alive. People who believed money could protect them from reality. Then the ocean arrived. Cold, indifferent, unimpressed. And suddenly, wealth meant less than a seat on a lifeboat. That is why the story survived for so long. Because it exposes something nobody wants to hear. Nature does not care who you are. Time does not care what you built. And death does not negotiate. But here is the strange part. The Titanic was never fully lost. Not really. Physically, yes. But emotionally, it never left us. Every generation rediscovers it. Every generation becomes haunted by it again. Why? Because the Titanic represents the modern human condition. Everyone is connected, yet nobody feels safe. Everyone is moving forward, yet nobody knows where they are going. Everyone is surrounded by noise, yet deep down, most people are quietly afraid. Afraid their life is drifting. Afraid their work means nothing. Afraid the people around them do not truly see them. Afraid that one day, everything they built could vanish. Just like the Titanic, and maybe that is why raising the ship would disappoint us. Because we do not actually want the wreck. We want the feeling attached to it. The mystery. The sadness. The warning. The proof that even the greatest things can disappear. Imagine if they brought it back tomorrow. Rust-covered metal lifted onto the surface. Broken walls. Collapsed decks. Empty rooms. Would it still feel legendary? Or would it suddenly feel smaller than the myth we created around it? Sometimes distance creates power. Sometimes ruins become symbols because they remain unreachable. And maybe humans do this with their own past too. We romanticize old memories, old relationships, old versions of ourselves. Not because they were perfect, but because time buried the details. The Titanic is no longer just a ship. It became a mirror, a reflection of ambition, ego, fear, mortality, hope. And the deeper scientists explore the wreck, the more they discover something unexpected. The ship is not frozen in time. It is dying. Right now, at this very moment, the ocean is slowly erasing it from existence. One day, there may be almost nothing left. And that thought unsettles people more than they realize. Because if something this famous can disappear forever, what happens to ordinary lives? What happens to our memories? Our names? Our unfinished dreams? Humans spend their entire lives trying to leave something behind. A career, a family, a story, a mark on the world. Yet the Titanic whispers a terrifying possibility. Maybe nothing lasts. Maybe everything fades eventually. But strangely, that is also where the meaning begins. Because if life is temporary, then every moment becomes heavier, more valuable, more real. The people on the Titanic did not know it was their final night. Most people never do. That is true for all of us. We live as if there will always be more time, more conversations, more chances, more tomorrows. Until suddenly, there are not. So maybe the reason nobody has raised the Titanic is because it already rose in another way. Not from the ocean, but into human consciousness. It became a permanent reminder of how fragile people are, of how arrogant people can be, of how quickly life changes, and of how deeply humans need meaning in the face of loss. The wreck stays underwater, silent, decaying, untouched by light. Yet somehow, it continues speaking to the world, and maybe that is the final irony. The ship once built to prove human power became immortal because it failed.